Okay, on page 6. War was the wife Hrothgar wed first. Battles won, treasures taken, admirers and kin heard of his fight fortune and flinged him in force. Strong boys grow into stronger men, and when Hrothgar had an army, his hopes turned to a hall to home then, a house to espouse his faithful, more than just a mead hall, a world's wonder, 8th of 7. And when it was done, he swore he'd load, light, and unhand everything he'd won and worn and owned, pass to his posse all God's gifts, save lives and land. So Hrothgar wanted to award himself for a life of battle, and that's why he built Heorot, which was the mead hall, but it was so much more than a mead hall. It was supposed to be like the 8th wonder of the world, and Hrothgar wanted to take rest and just gather all of his treasures, disperse them to his men, and just enjoy life without all of the blood. He'd keep the kingdom, of course. He gave far-reaching orders, carpets, carpentry, walls, and gable tables for seating a clan, rare gifts plated like rare meat, all for his men. So it rose, a greater hall than any other. Hrothgar filled it, blood brother by blood brother, and named it Heorot. His words were heard and heralded, and yes, bro, the man was more than just talk. He gave good gifts. He wore king's rings, and drank their leaders' mead. Nightly he feted his fight family with fortunes. The hall loomed, golden towers, antler-tipped. It was asking for burning, but that hadn't happened yet. You know how it is. Every castle wants invading, and every family has enemies born within it. Old grudges recruit us. Speaking of grudges, out there in the dark, one waited. He listened, holding himself hard to home. But he'd been lonely too long, brotherless, sludge-stranded. Now he'd heard and endured the din of drinkers. Anyone want to guess who that is? That's Grendel. Sludge, you hear that term, sludge-stranded? Grendel lived out in a swamp. Swamp is nothing but sludgy, dirty waters. And he was jealous. He heard the din of drinkers. Well, din is noise. And when people drink and make merry and are happy, they make a lot of noise. And Grendel heard this and he goes, wait a minute. Why do they get to have fun when I'm out here alone in the swamp? So he had kind of a toxic way of approaching with his jealousy. Their poetry poisoned his peace. Every night, turmoil, raucous laughter from Heorot, howling of harps, squawking of scops, men recounting the history of men like them. The Almighty made earth for us, they sang, sun and moon for our delight, fens full of creatures for our feasting, mares to quench our thirst. Heorot's hall dwellers, caroused by candlelight, stumbling to sleep with the sunrise replete, lambs bleating comfort, ease pleased, until the night wakefulness moved their watcher to wrath. So he would listen to this every day, every night he would listen. And then by night, all of that noise would just infuriate him. Sorry, my cat's joining us.